Mr. President, Rob, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to speak to your General Assembly, not least because of the very important collaboration between the WTO and ISO. Indeed, for many reasons, this continues to be a vital relationship. Starting from my conviction that the work you do, the work of setting international standards, is crucial for international trade. As you know, the WTO has no direct role in setting technical standards. Standard settings is not our area of competence, it is yours. Our focus is on maintaining an open, equitable, non-discriminatory, multilateral trading system. What we do is generate opportunities for market access. What we do is negotiate, establish rules for the stability and predictability of the international trade system, and this is what the WTO and the GATT before the WTO has been doing in trade negotiating rounds for the last 60 years. But market access opportunities are, at the end of the day, just that, opportunities. In the area of non-tariff barriers, opportunities that arise from the lowering of tariffs may very quickly fade if the regulatory landscape is too uneven. If at the technical level, countries speak a different language, then, if that's the case, those opportunities disappear. And if regulatory agencies don't trust the quality or safety of each other's products, they may not allow trade to take place. So international standardizing bodies, such as ISO, have an important role in building bridges. And in fact, this is the very reason why two key WTO agreements, the agreement on technical barriers to trade and the agreement on sanitary and phytosanitary measures, explicitly urge regulators to base their measures on relevant international standards to avoid unnecessary barriers to trade. And these agreements go as far as to say that measures that are based on relevant international standards are assumed to be in compliance with WTO rules. But this sort of vote of confidence by the WTO confers upon international standardizing bodies significant responsibility. How you set your standards then becomes crucial. And indeed, WTO members have agreed that for greatest effectiveness, international standards should be developed through open, impartial, transparent, consensus-based processes. And these are the very same principles that underpin the World Trade Organization. Now, let me underline 2 points I believe are important, one on process and the other one on substance. On process, delegations at the WTO have repeatedly emphasized the importance of transparency and accountability in development of international standards, calling for broad stakeholder engagement. And this is why I reiterate the importance of enhancing effective developing country participation in the work of international standardizing bodies. International standards must reflect developing country needs. When they do, they stand a better chance of actually being used. Now, on substance, I would simply say that standards need to respond to market demand. They need to reflect state-of-the-art scientific and technological development. And it's also important that international standards be fit for purpose, avoiding, in their creation, duplication and overlap with the work of other bodies. All this matters today because companies and governments need to be able to move products, components smoothly across borders. Whether you are talking about aircrafts, cars, iPods, more and more products are made in global production chains that span different countries. Standards are an important part of the equation because if one component of the product is not of high quality or is technologically not compatible with the rest, then the final product may itself be undermined with the manufacturer's reputation suffering. And I would go even further. If developed appropriately, an international standards can be seen as an embodiment of the collective know-how of the international community in any particular field. And this is extremely valuable. Almost by definition, an international standards is the outcome of multilateral cooperation. Participation in the process itself, or simply the use of the final product, is a form of technology transfer. And this is in fact recognized by the preamble of the WTO agreement on technical barriers to trade. However, if standards are developed on the basis of a narrow set of interests or without taking fully into account the legitimate comments, concerns of interested members, the relevance of the standards is reduced. And as a consequence, their potential to transfer technology. In the World Trade Organization, our objective is to reduce unnecessary obstacles to trade, and international standards help us accomplish this goal. But note that when I speak of barriers to trade, I put the emphasis on the word unnecessary. Why? Because many barriers are in fact necessary. For instance, countries may restrict trade in order to protect human health, safety, or the environment. This may seem obvious, but the reality is that the WTO is sometimes accused of wanting to remove all obstacles to trade. Well, this is not so. What we seek to do is to reduce or even eliminate those regulatory divergences that unnecessarily restrict trade while safeguarding the right of governments to protect their citizens. While not always an easy task, the existence of international standards acts as a useful indicator of, I would say, quote unquote, the necessity of a trade restricting measure that a government has put in place. In the WTO Committee on Technical Barriers to Trade, many regulations have been discussed this year, where the relevance of international standards was at issue. And let me also note that non-tariff barriers are an important element of the ongoing, although difficultly, round of trade negotiations. As you are well aware, the latest round was launched 10 years ago in Doha, and in this Doha mandate, ministers agreed to negotiations on a wide range of topics, from agriculture to industrial goods to services, rules, anti-dumping, and many other topics. But this mandate specifically includes negotiations on the reduction or elimination of non-tariff barriers, in particular on products of export interest to developing countries. And several of the proposals submitted by members to date attempt to bring regulatory approaches in different countries closer to one another. Hence, the importance, once again, of international norms. Recently, too, in our third global review of aid for trade, which is the official development assistance that is directed to trade capacity building for developing countries, we saw, again, first-hand evidence of how international standards can help the developing world access the international marketplace. And work on such standards must therefore continue. In fact, standardization helps the developing countries, all the more so when they are accompanied by technical assistance. And in the area of agriculture, the WTO established several years back a Standards and Trade Development Facility with a number of partners organizations. This is a joint initiative in capacity building and technical cooperation that is aimed at raising awareness and improving capacity on sanitary and phytosanitary issues, increasing the volume and the coordination of technical assistance, mobilizing resources to help developing countries use international norms. And the results of this initiative have been clearly palpable on the ground, and I think demonstrate convincingly how technical assistance can facilitate the adoption of international norms, another topic on which I think ISO can develop its activities in the future. To conclude, please see this message as a friendly encouragement by us in the WTO for the development of further international standards, ones that are developed transparently, inclusively, and which capture state-of-the-art technology. Once again, allow me to express my personal appreciation for the collaboration between our two organizations. It's going well, must be maintained, and I'm confident that it will. Thank you for your attention.